afternoon, listeners, and welcome to the Madhouse Podcast.
And absolutely no one else. There's no one else here. Go home.
I'm here. I'm alive.
I exist.
Yeah, I exist.
Hi.
Hi.
I also exist, believe it or not.
Oh, wow, you do? I thought you were non-existent.
Yeah, sorry. I was pretending to be part of your guys' imagination this time.
Oh, shut up. I actually recommend all of you guys' imagination. I don't actually exist.
The inner machinations of my mind are an enigma.
Hello, Luke. I am not the father.
In place of Trey because he's dead.
Hi, I'm a person.
Oh, Kevin made it. It's I have had dreams about coming home, and I miss it. So yeah, that's nice. I honestly have never played the movie. I just exist in this world.
I'm a person. You are? You do have me. Yeah, no, actually I'm Cybertronian.
Or whatever the fuck that is.
I'm not a lady, I'm just kind of, I exist. I'm a creature.
No,
Hi, I'm that guy who shows up sometimes.
I'm that guy. Remember me?
yeah. Insert maniacal laughter here.
No, it's not the Matrix.
At it again with another podcast.
I am Steven. I exist. Somehow.
Birth of Trey, what the hell? Did you come up with that spot?
Wondering if the madhouse is referring to an angry house or a crazy one.
You're completely mad.
No, you're insane.
Hello, and welcome to the Madhouse, episode 100. I'm Ultimate Spy 53, the host of this 100th episode, and joining me for this special episode, I have...
Episode 100! Woo! I'm here because I'm Steven Kovoc.
So, we have hit 100 episodes. I think it's amazing. I can't believe it. I never would have thought we've gotten here, that my review show has surpassed that number by a long shot. I can't believe it. I never would have thought that we'd hit this episode number. Like, seriously, 100 episodes. Who would have thought? I mean, technically it would be more, but we had scheduling conflicts in the past. We've had to skip weeks. It was a whole, like, move I had to do where we skipped 3 weeks, and not even our fault, but yeah, I just can't believe it. So, I guess I wanted to start with just talking about the fact that we've hit this milestone, and just, you know, the idea of the Madhouse, like why we decided to do it. And for me, starting off for me, I thought, because I listened to a lot of podcasts, and we had a like thing going on a while back, a little animation project that we did, and I was the first kind of like experience to a podcast I had, and I gathered people, and I had a lot of fun doing it, and I realized I want to try that again. I want to try doing an actual, like, podcast that would actually be a lot more often. That podcast back then was just, it was like a monthly thing, more like. So I feel like with this show, it's like I wanted to do something that was a lot of fun. I wanted to do an actual podcast for the first time. I had never done a podcast before, and so I'm thinking like I have all these friends who are really into me. They think I'm awesome. They think I'm really cool. They like, would they really want to do a podcast, like a nerd podcast? And I'm like, well, I might as well ask them, like, hey, you guys want to do a podcast? And they're like, sure. And we're like, okay, well, what should we call it? I'm like, I don't know. And I think I remember it was back when I was at Monroe High School, which is the high school that I graduated from. The evilness of that high school, in my opinion, I didn't like it. I remember it was, I think me and Steve Kovoc were talking about what we should call it. And I think he said that, like, anything but everything. I don't know exactly what you said. You came up with something that could have been a possibility, but I don't remember that was exactly what it was. It was actually pretty stupid. It was like, that isn't, like, it was a name for a podcast. It's like, that makes absolutely no sense. Like, it doesn't fit with the nerd thing of the subject line of our podcast, and like, I gotta figure out something else. And so that was when I turned to my friend Sabrina, who used to be on this podcast. She was on episodes 1 through 3 until she had a fallout with me, and we, stopped communicating a little bit, and she left the show. We've had things happen like that, pretty much like exactly that. And so she decided that, she suggested that I should call it the Madhouse, because we had a chat called the Madhouse. Why? Because it's literally we kind of would get a little crazy. Some of us has a disability, so we talk a little crazy. Not literally. We kind of like we talk about literally anything. So it's kind of like we're all like in a big little ensemble. We're all like what, you know, and the house because so we're like as a group, as a friendship group here, we're kind of form a house, a metaphorical house. I feel like, and so that's where I'm like.
Yeah, we're a literal house.
Yeah, so I feel like that was.
We are all a house.
Yeah, I feel like that was a good name for it. So I decided, you know what, it sucks a lot. It sucks to the show's title because a lot of us, when we're talking about things, we go off topic, we go off on tangents, long tangents. Some of us, like Chakky here, have disabilities. Not mine, but we had disabilities that affect them in certain ways, and so we'll have conversations where we'll ask them a question about like what we're talking about, and they'll be like, "What we're talking about?" And it's like that's the you know like face palm, but you kind of that's where you're like, "Ha ha ha, funny," and that's the point where it's like, are these guys crazy? Are these kind of like are these guys like?
Yeah.
Are their heads on straight because they're like.
My head has never been screwed on straight. I'm pretty sure
Exactly.
it was like dropped when I was a fetus.
And so the idea that we would call it the Madhouse isn't taken literally. Never taken literally. We mentioned it before on the 1 year episode of the fact that the Madhouse is never taken literally, but we're never actually mad. It's literally just a joke that
we're... heard me talk about alien resurrection? Good God.
We're just like the idea is that it's a joke and that we like to go off on tangents and some of us have that crazy part about it. It's merely just that. And a lot of us do think we're insane because we have some of those issues where we talk a lot. I mean, a lot. We go off on tangents. We go off topic. A lot of us, like Mr. Bigdinoguy here, like a lot of us in this group, like to talk about things a lot. On long, like 10-minute tangents, which is, I think, in my opinion, pretty fun to talk about because it's like you get to listen to his, his voice, he's got a great voice, and so that's why the whole mad thing about it's like, are you mad? You talk a lot, but that was basically the idea, and so I decided, I probably should ask people if they want to join. So that's basically why I made the Madhouse a thing, and the fact that I'm able to do this every week is. Simply because I have a schedule. I have this whole YouTube channel that I'm able to do every week and every day. And to have this podcast every week, which takes a long time to edit, but it's worth it in the end. It's way worth it. And it's just the fact that I'm truly grateful for everyone who's stuck with me because we had the original podcast, which was episode 1, which was recorded on January 30th of 2016, which was about a little more than 2 years ago. So we've come this far. And the original members were... myself, bigdinoguy, Zach, Steve Kovoc, Sabrina, and Alex. Or Kenshi Alex, and then Fanfiction SG. They left. We've had some shifts in members. And the fact that all these people have still stuck with me and not gotten tired of me, I am truly grateful. I can't believe that these guys have stuck with me for this long. We had Chakky joined in episode 3, and we've had some misfires with the podcast, all that stuff, but I just can't believe this has happened, and I just wanted to say thank you for that, and the fact that I can do this every week. I'm still blown away with the fact that I can put you guys together and be like, hey, we're doing a podcast, and we all get together and do it, and that's what really makes me happy about this podcast is I'm able to do it and have so much fun talking about stuff. So I always wanted to ask you guys, because we talked about it in the 1 year episode, but it was a very brief, it was 14 minutes of just talking about the Madhouse, but I wanted to ask you again, what was your reason for joining this show? What made you decide, hey, Tom is a cool guy, I want to talk about stuff with him, I want to talk about nerd shit with him for an hour on Saturdays, or Fridays it used to be. What was your reason for, deciding, this guy's cool, I want to keep talking to him?
So, as all the fans of this know, I'm a very huge nerd.
Yeah.
I have been a nerd for many years. I enjoy it thoroughly, and it's become a big part of my life, whether in the Madhouse realm or just even my own personal life with my dad and whatnot and all that jazz. And going to school because, yes, he mentioned it a few times.
going through school, one of the things that we always loved to do was talk about nerd stuff. You and me, Tom, and the whole group. That's how we all first became friends to begin with.
Yeah.
And as a result of that, you were like, "Hey, you want to go and do a podcast?" And I also had watched quite a few for many years on YouTube. I'm like, "Okay, let's do it." We've all just, at least in my opinion, I think that we've all just gravitated towards that because we can all hang out with some friends. I live over in Kansas, and you guys are recording this from Washington State. I mean, even though I moved here over a year ago, we've been able to continue doing it. We've been able to continue doing what we love and stay in contact. So it's been, at least in my opinion, a combination of both a professional courtesy as well as a personal thing.
Yeah, that's very true. I remember meeting you for the first time. I didn't even know who you were. It was very awkward at first.
Yeah, you were very awkward when I first met you.
It happens to everyone. You know, that's how friendships work.
Yeah, she said I've heard it when my girlfriend first met me. She's like, "Who the fuck are you?"
Who is this weirdo?
With her at the same time, but
yeah.
But anyway, yeah, it's just been a lot of fun because we can just be who we are.
Yeah.
I mean, Zoe, I know you and I don't always see the eye to eye, Zoe, in both the madhouse and personal life, but it's also, we can be who we are and we don't need to hide from it because they're all different nerds in our own. It's Chakky being a weeaboo or anyone in this podcast, even Zach, who he's a big weapons fanatic. He enjoys Smosh just like I do, and we can all come here and we can just do who we want to be, talk what we want to talk about. Insanity War, huge topic. We need to fucking talk about it.
Eventually,
oh my God!
Hopefully,
I have
we can.
one word for you, mother. Sorry, spoiler alert, but
For you guys who haven't seen it yet, that's a big spoiler for you.
Well, it is, but it isn't. Just watch the movie.
You'll find out.
Okay. But it's just because we can be who we want to be, do what we want to do, and whether we're working at McDonald's like I am, or going to school or whatnot, we can always come back, and this, at least in my opinion, reminds me of our childhood, growing back up in Washington. And so what I just say?
Yeah, it's a really good point. Yeah, I really, like, you're the first person who just hands down said yes, I'll join your podcast. You know,
what was that?
You were the first person that I asked about joining the podcast. Like, I asked you first, and you're like, "Want to join the podcast?" I'm like, yes.
Yeah.
You just like immediately were like, "Are we talking? Want to talk about nerd shit for an hour?" Yeah. So that was what you decided to do. So yeah, I appreciate it totally. It was fantastic. So that's basically your reason for joining. You just heart to heart wanted to be part of this nerdom. Pretty much. So yeah, okay, I'm gonna move on to Chakky. What was your reason for joining? And like, don't do it last time where you kind of briefly mentioned. Actually, delve deep into what really made you decide to join.
So honestly, it really was like when I first joined this podcast. It really was just that. Oh, that sounds like a fun kind of thing to do. But over time, especially like now, as my mental health is kind of defined, it's actually become like a really big thing and talk about stuff and be weird, and it really does help.
Yeah, definitely. That's basically just what you decided to. Someone wanted to join and do this. It's fantastic because like I remember episode 3, we all had just an awkward phase. Like I didn't even know you. Like, I was in class with you, and I didn't even talk to you because you were one of those girls where I don't talk to girls a whole lot. And then, like, I found out that Steven, I just met this Steven guy. I'm like, who's this guy? And I'm like, he's had trouble with girls before. I'm going into this because it's personal love, but it's a really important thing because this is basically how Zoe ended up in the show. And it was because Steven had some issues in high school with girls, and he really wasn't sure about it, and I'm like, well,
he liked me.
Yeah,
I'm
like, dude, she's a pretty girl. Go talk to her. And he's like, I don't want it. Like, dude, you want to be like you and not have a girlfriend ever? And he's like, no. Then talk to her. Like, I talked to her and she's cool. Just talk to her. And I finally got him to go over and just have a conversation.
I was nervous, you know.
And yeah, I totally get it. And I'll be nervous too, but like I encourage him. I don't usually do that, but I encouraged him to talk to Zoe, and soon, who do you know it? They ended up being a thing, and it's fantastic.
Like,
and then
it turned out we actually had a lot in common.
yeah, totally. And then I'm like, and then she's like, I want to join your podcast. I'm like, all right, let's do it. And so that's how it happened. So yeah, moving on to Steve Kovoc here, who, that's his channel name, which is fantastic, because I always have like, I always like having code names, so like if it's his channel name, or if you don't have a channel, you just use your first name, whatever works for you, that's fine. So, Steve, what was your decision to, like, why did you decide that you had to join this podcast?
I think it was a thing that you brought up at one point, like you started talking about like, hey, we should, do this podcast and stuff. And I remember when we used to do it physically. And I remember it was just kind of a friends gathering back then.
Yeah.
With Sabrina and all those other people. And I remember, like, it was just like, we should get together, and then while we're hanging out, we could go, hey, how about we just do this podcast? And I was like, no. And, we could do that every time. And I, used my camera, I think. Or is it your camera? I don't remember exactly.
I think it was your camera.
We used a camera.
Yeah.
You used the camera. I wasn't in the room at this point.
Yeah, and it was fun. I mean, we had a lot of fun. We had a lot of laughs and stuff like that. But eventually, we decided, maybe it'd be easier to do it online because, I think people are getting sick of having to come all the way out to my house.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
so
yeah.
we decided, let's just go digital.
I like you guys, but this is a hell of a lot easier.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Playing fair is a bitch.
Yeah. So basically, we decided to do that, and then, but it all started with like, oh, let's just be, buddies, let's just, it was just kind of a thing that we did while we were hanging out. I remember the first time we did it, I was like, Tom was talking about it, and I was like, okay, I mean, whatever, I don't have anything better to do.
Yeah.
And it was fun. It was a lot of fun. We as I said before, we talked, we laughed together, we were all high on caffeine, so.
Of course.
Usual. Just like,
yeah.
And snacking on cookies and, at one point.
Yeah, totally. That's amazing. I'm glad that you, because you were an original member. Think you and bigdinoguy are the only original members who are.
Yeah, I'm one of the most consistent members, like from Brennan.
That's probably because you literally just go with the flow.
Yeah.
Always, all the time.
Yeah, quite true.
Yeah, I really appreciate the fact that you're able to be on every week, or almost every week. There have been times where you are unable to make it, and I've been frustrated with you. But again, that's the process of how friendship works. Is you're gonna get frustrated, you're gonna be mad. That's the way friendship is. Sometimes it happens. Sometimes you get really mad, but you don't. It doesn't last forever. You make it up. You're like, I'm sorry I said that kind of stuff, and you make it up. That's how friendship works. And so I appreciate that you sticking with me. Okay, so moving on to Lucas. What was your reason for joining us? What made you decide I'm cool? I want to continue hanging out with this guy and be a podcast. Be in a podcast.
Well, you guys are cool, but I live far away from all of you, and driving is driving, and driving sucks.
Yeah.
Hey, we do an online podcast thing. I'm like, whoa, that's cool.
That's a hell of a lot easier.
Yep.
You guys have all these like serious emotional stories. I'm like, yeah, you guys are cool. I'll hang out.
Yeah. That's literally all you can say. Just what really, like, what made you go, I want to keep doing this. I really want to like hang out with this guy and these friends.
Basically, why are you putting up with us now?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, why do you put up with my ass?
What? You?
You what?
Everyone needs a hobby, I guess?
You guys put up with me. I mean, why wouldn't I put up? with you. I mean, you guys are cool, and you put up with me.
Yeah.
Friendship 101. Friendship is just two people putting up with each other for long periods of time.
Basically, that's basically what it boils down.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, well, that's literally what it boils down to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's a lot better. I mean, I remember because you weren't here for the 1 year episode. You couldn't say your reason, so I'm glad you really were able to put it out there and explain, because that's really amazing. I mean, it's just amazing. And again, I can't believe we've made this far. Episode 100. I mean, I usually on my shows I usually like have a number, like I usually put number or whatever. But for this podcast, I decided, you know what? A lot of podcasts, they just put episode, they just call it episode, and I like numbers a lot. I'm a big numbers guy. That's why I number this podcast. Like, that's why every episode I say episode, and then I say the episode we're on. And that's the way I keep track of the show. That's how I'm like, oh, what episode did we do this on? Like, and then sometimes I don't remember, but like, I'm able to look it up. And that's what's been me. I'm just a numbers guy. That's why I love numbers, and I like to say numbers. And so when I decided to make this podcast, I wasn't sure exactly, like, should I just say, welcome to the Madhouse, number 1? Like, that doesn't sound right.
I remember talking to you about that one.
Yeah.
Because one thing that I'd like to also mention, I know plug into my own thing, but you had also mentioned to me beforehand, so I'm saying it now. But my own channel, I was doing reviews, and one of the reasons why, according to you, that you started doing your own stuff is because you're like, that's awesome, I want to be like him, which I'm humble by. But essentially that's what you were always kind of going for, and I remember talking to you about that, like, what do you do? I'm like, have you seen any of mine? I did the same damn thing. What? I remember talking about that because, I mean, I know that I haven't done a podcast in, God, almost a year now, because things just been, I moved here over a year ago to Kansas, and God,
it's already been a year.
Yeah, well, technically 2 years.
I know.
More than
well, I mean, a year for me living here.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It does not feel like it. Like, Willie, as of last month, was a year of working at McDonald's.
Wow.
It does not. Oh. It's not a bad job.
I'm just don't like, I just think, I don't think working there is bad, I just think eating there is bad. It's evil. I've seen so many movies about that.
I'm not a fan of our fries.
I hate
but
that restaurant. It's
been
evil.
a damn good job.
It's cursed. I mean, I don't have anything wrong with
job,
working
but it's
there.
a damn good one.
If you like working there, that's fine, but I would never eat there again. If you are happy there, that's cool. I'm happy for you. But I just like that's basically the reason why I wanted to do episodes instead of number, because it's just a lot easier with episodes, because a lot of podcasts, they do numbers, but it's more often they use episodes, and I just like for numbers it just made sense to just call it episode. But it just kind of stuck, you know. And sometimes occasionally I like to introduce it with episode number, but it isn't all the time. Like sometimes I'm like, okay, this week I'm gonna introduce the show with episode number, and then I all the time. Sometimes it'll be like 10 episodes in a row where I just say episode, but I don't put the number. But it happens occasionally. I like to just kind of mix it up. But also, just in general, coming to the 100th episode, I mean, we by this time we've been I don't know, episode 120 by now, maybe, or 115, I don't know. But yeah, something like that. So I feel like the fact that we were able to do this, and we're able to do this so many times and come to this big number, I never would have thought. I mean, I couldn't believe it when we had 1 year. I mean,
what a thunk.
When we did 1 year. I mean, not only was that episode crazy, but also it was a thing I was proud of. Like, when you're making a podcast and you're proud of it, that's something you gotta really be happy with yourself with. Because, like, the fact that you're like, oh, 1 year, yay, like, episode 100, oh my god, wow, what happened there? Like, that's where it's like, that's a lot of numbers. That's like a lot of podcasts in one playlist. I mean, technically there's 101 because it was a birthday party. It was actually pretty horrible because I didn't plan it well.
Oh, I remember that.
And we had a podcast. It was very, very long. It was about think it was an hour and 50 minutes, and it was basically just called the Talk About Shit Madhouse special, literally, because one half of it was Vernon talking about terrible stuff, depressing stuff, but that's the fun part about it. That was like the
terrible.
It was. I think you're talking about your cat, right?
Captain Pricks a lot.
I'm just saying that like a lot of it was unfortunate things, but it was important stuff to talk about, and then we switched over to light stuff. But like, I felt like when I decided to name it the Talk About Shit special, it was because it was negative and positive mixed together, and I feel like a lot of the stuff that we talked about in that special was very important because it impacted both of us, like it impacted all of us to just share with people who even listen to this show just what we've been through. And it's really important for that, and that's why we did that episode. It was not numbered; it was just like a one-off thing. I didn't even put a thumbnail in. I just used the picture I used for the casting. I used to do that, but like, so yeah, technically there is 101, but this is the 100th episode that we've done. So
that one wasn't really much of a Madhouse episode.
Not really, but it was still
it
fun.
It kind of was, but not really, because shit got deep.
Yeah, definitely. It was.
I remember that one actually.
Yeah,
I don't know about you guys or the fans, but okay. To any fans that might have been watching it, and any new fans that are watching this episode, go and take a look at that other one that Tom was just mentioning.
Yeah.
And let us know if you'd like for us to do something like that again, because like a lot of shit has happened to all of us in the last couple of years, and I think that we'd all like to just sit down and talk about it, or do whatever, or just talk about shit other than nerdy things every once in a while.
Yeah.
So if you'd like to see something like that again, please sound off in the comments below and let us know.
If you even care, because this is a podcast for fun, so it doesn't matter if you like it or not. Yeah, I just feel like I want to just talk about the fact that we've come this far, and I just wanted to thank you all, like the fact that you've stuck with me and the fact that we were able to do this. We've had some.
Welcome.
There are times when I've threatened to decide that we're not doing this anymore just because I've been emotionally unstable. We've had that happen, and I have come very close, but again, we have not. We've decided, I've had my friends to back me up and just say don't. They've stopped me from threat to deciding to like end it because of how frustrated I get with my friends, and that's just the way it is. And like, I'm truly grateful to you guys for not forcing me, but like saying don't do anything with the podcast, just let it continue, and that's why I'm happy for you. I'm happy you're still with me. So that's really all I can say about the 100th episode. Is there anything else you got on this milestone you guys wanted to input before we move on?
Here's to the Madhouse. Clink.
I wish I had a beer. What?
Does anyone else have anything they also want to add before we move on for this? Just talking about the Madhouse in general in the episode we're on. No.
No. We're good.
All right. Well, I wanted to real quick talk about something that happened because we've only had a podcast about like stories in life once. We've had a podcast where we talking about life stories. There's nothing really we do on the show. We just like a thing we've had once happen where I had just happened to have some wild stories to talk about, and it was very interesting. And like I said, we never really have that because none of us have anything wild, like really interesting to talk about in terms of like what's happened in personal lives.
I usually.
I mean, we don't really talk about it a whole lot, and I feel like we should talk about it, again. And I had a crazy thing happen to me. I think it was on Thursday, and it was just wild, and I wanted to share with you. So basically,
what'd you do? Who died?
No.
Where'd you hide the body?
So basically, I was at Edmonds Community College, which is also the college where Lucas attends to sometimes. I was able to meet him at college.
Serious?
How do you sometimes go to college?
Oh my god. Who's a troublemaker? Tutor.
Anyway, so yeah, basically I was at Edmonds. I had just gotten some lunch from the grill. I got my root beer. I love that stuff. And the custodian walks by to refill the soda machine. I'm like, okay, that's cool. Probably they get out of soda. Cool, that's cool. And so he starts unloading unlocking the soda machine to get the soda refilled. I'm just like watching a video on my phone, kind of doing, and then like a few minutes later, I'm just like glancing over, like, oh, okay, he's doing his thing. And then suddenly the guy just like I kind of slowly look up and he pops a Mountain Dew at my desk. I'm like, what? I'm like,
Eat it, son.
what? Like, are they allowed to do that? Like, I just didn't even ask for it. Like, are they allowed to just give you free soda when they're refilling the soda machine?
Apparently, don't knock it till you try
And so
it.
I just didn't even. I'm like, how did this even happen? Like, I didn't even expect it. I didn't even know what happened.
Anyone who might recognize my voice from my work, don't expect that there.
Yeah, exactly. So I just
saying.
I didn't ask for it, and he just put a Mountain Dew on my desk for free. He was like, I'm like, thanks. I didn't know what to say. I didn't even I'm like,
Thank you very much.
is that guy allowed to do that or not? Like,
that's the nicest thing
I just wasn't.
done.
I'm not sure that exactly if the custodians are actually allowed to do that. So I was just like, I was shocked. Like, I've never once in my life gotten a free soda for by not even asking. Has it ever happened to you? Where you just get given a free soda? It's like, hey, we're reloading the soda machine. Here you go, free soda.
No, but only once I went to get a Pop-Tart out of the vending machine at high school.
Yeah.
And it gave me 2, and I was like, yeah!
Nice. Sweet, that's cool. But yeah, I thought I'd share with that because that's just like the one of the things I never expected would even, happen to me. Like, I didn't even ask for it, and I'm not even sure they were allowed to do that, so just got a free Mountain Dew out of it. Like, didn't even know it was gonna happen, so yeah. Anyway, so let's go ahead and move on. We can't talk about Infinity War for a while. I wanted to announce that I'm actually working on a movie right now, like in the process of being part of an actual film. So basically, this may or may not affect the podcast. It might, because it'll be like a weekend thing, maybe. Hopefully, this will do it, but I don't know if it'll affect it or not. Basically, I got involved with this meetup group with this director who actually has made a film before. An actual movie. It didn't. I don't know. I think it was actually I think it was negatively received, but it was still a movie. And basically, it's gonna be a romantic comedy. I'm probably not gonna be in it because I don't have any talent. I'm probably just gonna be an extra. But I think the idea is that it's a movie called Hooked, and it's for the script. It's supposed to be a movie about a guy who's like, I think he's in his 20s. He has autism, and he gets involved with a girl who turns out to be a prostitute, meaning that their job is to have sex.
They have sex for money.
Yeah, exactly. So that's the idea of the story, and so.
Sarah Hooker.
Yeah, basically, I didn't finish the entire trailer because it's just a lot of things to read. But I just thought you should know that I'm probably going to be being probably an extra, but it'll be a long stretch. The production starts on the 1st of August, so it'll be a while, but it's really exciting. I just got back from earlier today. I was playing a new game that he kickstarted. It'll fund the movie, and it would be like a very low budget movie, but it would be a movie. And it's called Jabberjaw. It's a new board game, and I played it today. It was actually a lot of fun. Basically, you hand cards and you're basically making up a story. Really fun. And so I'm doing a movie. We just kind of get in the basics of how it works and all that stuff, and pre-production, all that stuff. So. It's exciting. I have never actually been on a film set, never actually been in a movie. Probably if I do anything, it would be an extra. But I'm going to be in a movie. I'm going to be working on a movie. So, yay.
That sounds super cool.
I know, right? It's really cool. So I just thought you guys should know that. The reason why I'm saying is because it might affect the podcast. It might affect when we do it because he said probably weekends for me. Meaning it might be, conflict with this podcast. Even if I could re-record it, it would be really hard to. So I just thought you should know because this is really exciting for me because I am entering a new phase of my life. I have all this amazing stuff happening. I have a volunteer thing. I'm trying to get a job, college. I'm getting more content for my YouTube channel. All this stuff is just really important for me. So I just thought I should bring it up. Because that's
super cool.
Yeah, it's really cool. So yeah, definitely. And next I want to talk about a big thing that is kind of a little anniversary, once a year thing. It's basically the second day of it. Star Wars Day happened yesterday, and it's the second day today. Today is called Revenge of the 5th. Yesterday was called May the 4th. So I wanted to talk about the significance of yesterday and today, obviously, and even those of you who are Star Wars nerds, like I know bigdinoguy is, talk about our top Star Wars episodes, and about the real reason we think Star Wars became such a pop culture icon to get its own celebration day. So, who wants to start? Star
My
Wars
favorite
Day.
one of all time has got to be, which one is it? Episode 5, Empire Strikes Back. I just love that film. It's my absolute favorite of the entire series. You cannot tell me that the Hoth battle is not fucking fantastic.
Yeah.
The Hoth battle alone is just amazing to see. Absolutely mind-boggling to just watch. With the music going on in the background, the whole 9 yards. It is fantastic. Fantastic scene alone, and worth the price of admission.
Yeah, I actually got some. I
wasn't around when it came out, but you know.
I got to actually interview the guy who did the special effects for that movie. At the I think it was AngryCon back in December. It was a Doctor Who convention. They also have like people who worked on science fiction movies like Star Wars, and he specifically worked on Episode 5. So I got to interview him about how things worked, like the scene in where Luke's hand falls off. Like how do they get that that thing where he falls down? That was on a Matt A painting. There you go. So yeah, but like specifically,
that one is just a fantastic film. Whether you're a fan of Star Wars or not, that's like the one that you have to watch because it's dark, it's gritty, it's got humor, plenty of humor, but it's still it's its own show. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely.
And this is a fantastic series. And probably the second favorite has got to actually be Episode 3.
Yeah, I love that one.
Revenge of the Fifth. I mean, Fifth, that one. It's just a really amazing film to watch. I mean, it's fantastic to see. It's amazing.
Epic. Awesome music.
And also we hear Darth Vader breathing for the first time. That alone is just like a that moment. It is. I mean, you can't tell me though, even though you already know who he is, the whole backstory. But with Revenge of the Fifth, why do I keep calling it Revenge of the Fifth?
You cut off today.
I'm sorry,
today's like a pun thing. Revenge of the Fifth is today.
You can't tell me that hearing Darth Vader do his first breath is amazing to listen to. So yeah, and it's probably become a pop culture icon simply because it was brand new, it was different, and enough people grew up with the movies. Enough people grew up watching and listening to the not listening to, but enough people grew up playing with the figurines and whatnot that it's just a part of their lives. And a lot of people, like my dad, wanted to just share it with their own kids. I don't think it's anything to do with the show itself, really. It's just a great film, and it had some fantastic merchandising, brand new stuff at the time, and enough people that were hurt. Enough people that grew up and wanted to show their own kids.
Yeah.
I know that's one of the things that I want to tell my own kids one day.
Definitely. Yeah.
So, you know what I mean?
Definitely. Yeah. Yeah. Before we move on to the the actual top
It's a gift that keeps on giving.
I just want to because as I know you've already talked about the significance of these dates, but everyone else, what do you think the reason why we celebrate Star Wars Day with May the 4th and Revenge of the 5th? What do you think the real reason for that is?
Why? The same damn reason we do a podcast.
Yeah.
We love to enjoy what we enjoy. We love what the content is. We love the whole idea of what it represents, and it brings us back to whether it might be our childhood or our current lives, and it's that state as well. So regardless of why you see it, it's just because you enjoy the film in the long.
Definitely, yeah. So Chakky, do you have any?
Yes.
I mean, I know you're not really a Star Wars nerd, but what do you think the significance of the celebration of the franchises? Even though you don't really, even though you're.
I think it's cool that I like the pun. The pun is funny. May the 4th.
Yeah.
May the 4th be with you.
Yeah.
That's funny. I'm not really a huge Star Wars nerd
right.
or anything, but I think it's nice that people are really like to celebrate that.
Definitely.
And if they're really into it.
Yeah, definitely. Okay. So Steve, what are your thoughts on the date, on the celebration of the Star Wars?
That's pretty cool. I mean.
It's Star Wars Day.
I thought it was recently, the last couple of years.
Right,
but yeah.
You don't have anything else to say about the date? You don't have any reason why you think that it's gotten Star Wars has gotten so popular that it gets its own celebration day?
Because I don't think it was an official thing. I think it was just created by a bunch of Star Wars lovers who were like, hey, let's
It's
just
not an
watch
official thing.
Right. Okay. So yeah.
It's just like a little hey, May 4th. Almost sounds like May the 4th.
Yeah, right. All right, Lucas, what are your thoughts on May the 4th and Revenge of the 5th?
They were these really original, cool movies that lots of people thought were cool, and then yes, and original. And then there were lots of people who liked them. Yeah.
All right. And then going back around, I already got you, but Chakky, what do you think even though you don't really watch Star Wars, but what do you think your top episodes or episode is of Star Wars, if you remember any?
Well, I won't list the ones I like the most because I don't really care about any of them that much. But I will list the ones that I remember the most.
Right.
First one is whatever one is the one where Darth Vader or Anakin Skywalker gets burnt up in the lava. I don't remember which one that is.
Oh, that's Revenge of the Fifth.
Yeah.
That's the one where he's like, oh,
watched when I was a kid, like really little.
So that's your favorite. Okay, got it.
Well, I wouldn't say favorite. Maybe when I was like 5. But...
All right. God, I'm not gonna.
Oh, it's the movie where Anakin's all like, oh yeah.
And then there's the one I remember. There's the one with the Ewoks.
Oh, that's
Episode 6.
Yeah. And then I remember the one that one that I saw in theaters when it came out a couple years ago, which was
Force Awakens.
Yeah, Force Awakens.
It's the 7, yeah.
With the one where Solo dies.
Yeah, and I literally had to hold back from screaming no in the theater.
Well, actually, you did scream no.
Did I?
Yeah.
I just did I think I just did it quietly. No, not like that. Oh, sorry.
Okay, alright.
No.
No. Okay.
No.
Alright. So Steve, what do you think your top Star Wars episodes are?
I really like The Empire Strikes Back.
Okay.
Because I love the battles.
Right.
And the politics behind it. I mean, unlike the prequels, the politics, the way it's portrayed in this movie is really interesting.
Okay.
Just like it's like the politics and the wars and it's just like it's an actual. It feels like it's a Star Wars movie.
Right.
It's wars, like the war part. It's like.
Okay, so.
I mean, my favorite part is like the battle on Hawk. Whatever.
The battle on I thought you said the battle on the battle on Hawk.
Hawk. Yeah. Hawk.
That would be weird.
And it's just like with the AT-ATs and laser guns and that was awesome.
So, your top episode. So, do you have any more, or is it just that one?
My second favorite is probably the original, probably.
A New Hope? Okay.
But my third favorite is probably Return of the Jedi. Return of the Jedi was good. It was good. I love the ending. I love towards the end and stuff. But the Ewoks and stuff are just kind of.
Right. Okay. All right. So just the original trilogy for you. I understand. Yeah. Okay.
I haven't seen the prequels in ages though.
Right.
So.
Okay. Got it. All right. Interesting. All right, Lucas, what do you think your top Star Wars episodes? It doesn't have to be all of them. It could just be one or
Right.
a number. Just what do you think?
Number one's definitely Empire.
Right.
Empire Strikes Back was the coolest.
Yeah.
The lightsaber duel at the end.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. That's one of my favorite scenes in all the movies.
Your father.
Oh yeah, that part was awesome.
I remember before you continue. I remember there was a really funny joke. I think it was Facebook or something like that, but it was of Homer Simpson coming out of Empire Strikes Back and spoiling the movie for everyone standing out on the line to get in the movie. He was like, "Oh, who knew that Darth Vader was Luke's father?" And guy next to sitting in line, I'm like, "Hey, spoil the movie for me." I mean, it was obviously Simpson was like, it just shows you how stupid and dumb Homer is to actually spoil a movie for you. Especially these guys are just lying like, it's like, what the fuck, dude? But yeah, continue. What any more that you liked, or you don't have to listen to all, you can just listen to a few of them.
I really liked Rogue One.
Okay.
Like, a lot. Rogue One was really cool.
I have actually recently
I
considered...
did not like that one.
I've considered actually watching it for the first time, actually.
Super cool.
Okay, alright, gotcha, alright, yeah, I mean, we can't really discuss why it became a popular show. I mean, I think for me, I mean, mine would be, obviously, I think that episode 2, 3, actually the entire prequel trilogy, because that was my first experience with Star Wars. That was the first thing I saw of Star Wars was prequel trilogy. I don't give a shit if people think it was terrible. It's my first experience of Star Wars, and I absolutely love those movies. They were fantastic. I don't care what people say about the acting, the special effects, CGI. I don't give a shit. I grew up on that, and I was like the first thing I saw in theater was the prequel trilogy, and I just love them. And then I saw the original trilogy later, and I'm like, this is pretty good. But like, yeah, I think that if I was to pick like 3, I think 3, 5, maybe 6, and then 2 maybe out of all of them. Like just like that's like 4 of them. So yeah, I think the prequels really deserve more than they get hate for, because they are really amazing. Even if people think they're terrible, like even my dad thinks they're god awful, but being me, I just fell in love with them because of the characters and the extended universe and the lightsaber fights and all that stuff. The actors who played the characters, it's amazing. So and I think that the reason why it became so popular is because people really liked it, and people thought that because it was so good, they kept making more, and it just became so popular, and people like fell in love with the universe, and it's ever more expanding. I think it's the most expansive story universe that anyone's ever created. You know, I don't think Marvel's done anything more than that, but Star Wars has been like the biggest universe in creation that ever in pop culture ever. And the fact that it has its own celebration day is actually, it's pretty darn cool. I think that's freaking awesome that it has actually its own celebration day, and I'm proud that I think it's, I wouldn't really say I'm proud. I just think it's really amazing that it got so popular that it has its own, day of being a thing, yesterday and today. I think the origin is, yesterday, the light side, today, dark side. That's the whole point.
That makes sense.
Yeah, that's pretty much what the reason why they did. I don't even know who created the days, but they did.
Just fans, all that you need to know.
Pretty much, yeah. So yeah, I don't think there's anything else I had besides.
Can I say a real quick thing?
Yeah, go ahead.
About it? Okay, Lucas, cover your ears.
Oh, is this Infinity War?
Yep.
Yeah,
all
please.
right.
Go ahead.
I will. Peace. Bye.
The best line of the entire freaking movie was "mother."
Oh yeah. that
and it was one
great.
of the last words spoken in the entire film.
I didn't even expect he was gonna be in the movie. Like I heard that he wasn't even called, and then I'm like, wait, he was called like last second to do a cameo. Who knew? So yeah.
I heard basically the same thing, that he was doing that, but I'm actually glad that they did it the way that they did.
Yeah.
Because it was a fantastic cameo. What did you think of the death?
For the first time I saw it, because I was sitting like really close to the theater because the freaking ticket told me to. I didn't do that the second time I saw it. But when I first saw it, like when I first saw that when Thanos got all the Infinity Stones, especially when, the Scarlet Witch, said it had no choice but to fry Vision, I'm like, oh my god, no. And then he gets his Infinity Stones, like, you should have aimed for the head. And like, no! I'm like, because like classic comic book, because I haven't read the comic book, I just see, I follow Emergency Awesome, he does like a bunch of comic book stuff, and he shows like, oh, because you haven't read the comic book, here's how. I'm like, okay, guys, so he doesn't make it in the comic book, I get it, okay, that's, and then I see the movie, I'm like, oh no. I was thinking maybe when he snapped his fingers, the movie would end. But no, we actually see the characters die, like just vanish. We have Bucky who goes Steve. I'm like, no, and then I think Star-Lord, Drax, Gamora died. That was sad. And then you have
the only death that I was kind of shocked about was Gamora.
Yeah, I was like, oh my god. And then you have, you know, Mantis dying, and then Peter. Oh my! I think Doctor Strange didn't really hit me. So he's like, "I'm sorry, Tony. It was the only way." I'm like, "Okay, I get it." And then Peter's like, "Mr. Stark,
Well,
I don't feel so good." And then it's like,
okay,
"Sorry."
I'm gonna say something on that though. He didn't say it as friends, like this was the only way.
Yeah.
No, he literally meant it as this was that one and only way that they can beat Thanos.
Definitely.
Remember, he said when he looked at 14 million probable times.
Yeah.
And I just knew that he would say one. He's like, how many do we win? Say it, one. Yes. I mean,
Yeah.
actually, what happened, at least on my end.
And actually,
when
when Peter says, "Tony, I'm sorry," that actually was featured in the Comic-Con footage that some of the people leaked back in July of last year. Because when Comic-Con happened last year, someone caught the footage on their camera, very, very low quality, so if you were seeing it, it would be really hard to see. Viewable, but it's hard to see. And there was a clip where you saw, you know, Star-Lord saying, "Oh no," and then he, like, dies. And then you have Spider-Man going, like, "Tony, I'm sorry." And that was from the Comic-Con footage. I didn't, like, where is it in the movie? I'm like, oh God. And then, like, he says, "I'm sorry," and he vanishes. I'm like, I mean, it didn't hit me. But I'm like, I'm looking at the screen, I'm like my face is in pure terror. I mean, I'm not crying, but like, I'm like, no. I'm like, and then everybody just vanished. Like, I'm like, oh no. And I was shocked. And I hear people in the background just sniffling. I'm like, no. I'm like, no. Like, especially when Mark Ruffalo back in when he first talked about the movie, he's like, do you know how to do this to me? I'm like, everybody does. And he's like, don't spoil. I'm like, no, not everyone could die. And it turns out, almost everybody died. Although, I'm curious to know why everyone except the original Avengers died. Except War Machine, because he's not an original Avenger, he's a new Avenger. But, like, why everyone except the original Avengers lived. Like, they are the only people who lived. And, because he's like, you know, that is not the entire universe out, but, like, why those particular characters, I don't know. But, it still shocked me. You have, you know, Vision dying, and then Captain America going, oh God. And he's like, yeah. The Avengers are pretty much fucked right now. They are not going to win this fight unless they go back in time, which is probably going to happen because there was set leaked photos of the original Avengers outfits, so there's probably going to be that involved, but I just think it was an emotional movie. Honestly, I think it was, because I had a non-spoiler review. I don't usually do that. Like, I never do, like, non-reviewed reviews, but I did a non-spoiler review for, I didn't copy you, but I definitely inspired from you. I kind of did my own little impression video, and about, you know, the non-spoiling for Infinity War, and I think it was one of the saddest Marvel movies that Marvel Studios ever produced. It's so sad.
One, I think it was good God, that was a fuck fest of just sadness all the way around.
One of the saddest.
Good, but
one of the saddest.
I'm shocked I didn't cry during it.
I almost cried. Like, my brain was crying. I'm like, because I was just frowning the entire time, in pure like no. I'm like, no. Yeah, Star-Lord going, oh no, and everyone just vanishes. Like, especially when they vanished, I'm like, oh God. And now I'm sure, like, things on Facebook where, like, things vanish.
Something I looked at the other day was news about Spider-Man. So I'm sorry to all the fans that have not seen it. Watch this movie. It is fantastic.
Definitely.
But one of the things that people were saying was, and actually I watched earlier today, was the new abilities of the characters, especially Spider-Man.
Oh, yeah, that was...
Now this one shows...
Wow, that was awesome. I didn't know... I mean, I heard about, like, the whole spider legs coming out, but I didn't even... Like, I kept hearing about it in videos, like, oh, there could be an attachment coming out, and it turns out it came from the tech in this set. I'm like, oh my God, because I know there was, like, a promo image of it, and there was a Lego set. I'm like, oh, okay, maybe we'll see that movie. It turns out, oh, it wasn't the movie, but it was way cooler. Like, I think one of the coolest costumes, aside from Spider-Man, was Thor. He had the coolest costume.
Yeah.
Both him and Spider-Man had the coolest costumes. Iron Man,
just everyone getting cleaned by Thanos and his guards, and then all of a sudden, Thor just comes straight in, barreling towards them.
Iron Man I think Iron Man definitely had an improvement, but his costume was mostly, you know, visual effects. I mean, I think it was pretty cool, but like, I feel like Thor and Spider-Man had the coolest costumes because it felt like his classic armor in terms of the lightning and stuff. It just looked awesome, especially when the Avengers theme played and he strikes down on, you know, Wakanda, and Cap's like, oh, you got a haircut. He's like, I don't know, see you've cut off my beard. I'm like, yeah. And then, like, yeah, like Groot's like, I am Groot. And he's like, I am Steve Rogers. Everyone.
Yeah, that was awesome.
That was fantastic.
But anyway, what I was saying with Spider-Man and his abilities, the reason why we got that whole like, oh my god, I'm so sorry, I know it's coming and whatnot, is because that was the Spider sense.
Yeah, definitely.
Telling him, hey, you're about to die. So that's why he was able to do all that stuff and talk to him and basically die in Tony's arms. That was
and especially when
but I mean, that's why they were able to focus on his death longer than any of the others. Because everyone else is like, oh, toodles. I mean,
and like,
but Spidey was emotional. Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god.
And the first trailer for Infinity War, we had like Tony, looking very sad and like he'd lost someone. Like, who was he crying about? Turns out he was fucking crying about Peter, because Peter just died in his hands by just vanishing into ashes. Like, that's especially when he just like when the characters just like they vanish into like ashes, just like it's so sad. It's like, oh my god, especially it is heartbreaking. I almost cried. I felt really sad. Like that was the movie where, I don't know if you have in your theater, but like my theater, the movie was over. Like, it was basically silence. We just walk in silence.
As soon as the movie was over, I went with a buddy of mine from work.
Yeah.
As soon as it was over, I just looked at him and we both said, holy shit, in unison. As soon as the movie was over.
Like,
it was just, oh my god.
There was basically silence in my theater. Like, everyone just walked out, like, not saying a word, because we're like, what did we just see? What would... That can't be the end kind of thing. It's like, oh my god. Like, holy shit. It was awesome, but it was like, no. Thanos can't... I mean, like I feel like the last two villains, we've had Loki, and then Ultron have been... They've been strong, but they haven't... the Avengers have been able to beat them. But, like, this guy, for the first time, the Avengers have lost against him. And that's where I'm like, oh no. Oh no, that can't be true. And so that was where it's like... It felt like... Because I had a review of that, like, I'm like... Thanos feels impossibly powerful, like, he just gets all those stones, and he wins. It's like... How, like, this can't be the first superhero movie where the heroes have lost. Like, oh my god, I just couldn't believe it. And I mean, especially with the missing characters like Hawkeye and Ant-Man, that was like, what the hell? But I'm just...
Yeah, what the hell was Hawkeye?
Well, Hawkeye was both Hawkeye and Ant-Man were both mentioned as because of the rift. They got out of the rift and they go into their families, and so that's why they're mentioned only. And so when you get to Ant-Man and the Wasp, it turns out that the reason why probably at the end of that movie, I'm guessing, is that they are protected by the snap because they're in the quantum realm. I mean, I haven't seen the movie myself because it's not going to come out until July, but the working theory is that Scott and Hope are both protected by the quantum realm from the snap. So when the snap happens, he doesn't get disintegrated. That's the idea, but we'll have to wait and see what really happens in that movie when it comes out, but that's the theory. And probably, I think it honestly makes more sense to be like that, but that's just what I think. I think it's gonna be. I'm looking forward to Ant-Man and the Wasp. I don't think it's gonna be one of the best. I think it's gonna be interesting. I think that they'll do a really good job with the sequel, and I'm really looking forward to it. In fact, I remember being at Comic-Con last year, not this year, but last year back in 2017, and Evangeline Lilly was there. I didn't even go over and say hi. I just didn't. I'm like, okay, I don't need to do that. So it's like. But yeah, are we good with spoilers? We're gonna stop. I think Luke's
I'm good with that.
Okay.
Let's talk about when it actually comes out on DVD.
Definitely, yeah. Okay. Oh. All right. Well, that is all we're gonna do for this episode, for this big celebration. I can't believe we've come this far, and I want to thank you all for joining me to celebrate this special 100th episode. Thank you guys so much. Seriously, from the bottom of my heart, I want to thank you guys for sticking with me for 100 episodes. Not everyone, all of them have been every week, but thank you guys, seriously. You guys have been awesome.
I think this is more of a celebration for the fans that have stuck with us this entire way. So for any fans that might be listening to this one, thank you so very much for all your support with the channel, and yeah, just thank you for listening to us crazy assholes from Washington.
Yeah, I just want to thank you guys. It's been a journey for me, inventing this show, thinking, oh, what if I made a podcast and I have friends involved? What if we did that? And yeah, we have had some arguments, we've had some stresses, we've had some complications, but we've all worked it out, and I'm I'm so happy we've come this far. And here's to 200. Here's to when we get to 200, and I'm really happy.
Yeah!
So, yeah, anyway, that was the Madhouse episode 100. We did it! Yay!
Yay!
Okay, anyway, yeah, that is gonna do it for this special episode. So yeah, anyway, thank you guys so much for listening to the 100th episode of the Madhouse. We hope you enjoyed listening to it. If you did, please hit the like button. We all really appreciate the support. And if you're new to this channel, subscribe for more episodes coming of this podcast and other series that I do. Also, make sure you subscribe to bigdinoguy and Chakky. The links will also be in the description. Check them out.
Also, an announcement really quick.
Oh yeah, what's up?
I know that things have been absolutely insane, and I haven't done my videos for a year, but things are changing on the horizon for me as well. I am going to have a little bit more time in order to do my own videos and whatnot.
Right.
And hopefully for anyone that listens to this one, you guys will be able to see me in the next couple weeks or so.
Sweet.
It's sweet. And I look forward to seeing you there.
Alright, cool.
And that's been kind of that, by the way, so.
Alright. So yeah, thank you again for listening, and we will be back next time with episode 101. Alright,
101
bye-bye.
donations! Wait, yo, 101 episodes of the Madhouse.
Hey.
Yeah.
Alright, bye-bye.
Whatever you want to call it, for weird.
Madhouse 101.
Hey.
Pretty much.
Yeah, we're gonna keep doing it.
We're
not stopping.
Here.
We're gonna keep making more episodes, so whether you like it or not. Alright, bye-bye.
Bye. Bye.